Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Rhodes here, and this is my video about the possible mid-season finale death for this season. It's going to happen, the mid-season finale, maybe not the death, but the mid-season finale is going to happen in about 2.5 weeks. This is for season 8, and this is a big rumored mid-season finale death. A lot of people are talking about this. Just a lot of people are just terrified and they don't want this character to die. A lot of people are just worried, and it's getting a lot of hype and a lot of conversation. So I wanted to make a video discussing it since we're getting closer and closer to that episode. And even if you look through the spoilers, even if you go through the spoiler websites, it's still not confirmed, but it's highly rumored. But yeah, this is a spoiler, so if you guys don't want to know about it, stop watching right now. I have plenty of other videos, so please watch one of those instead of getting spoiled. But anyway, if you're still watching this, the rumored mid-season finale death is Carl Grimes. Yeah. I already made another video about this a while back, and it's still highly possible. It's still highly rumored. He has not been seen filming at all. A lot of people are worried, sick that he's going to die because, you know, he is a really big character. You could argue that he is the big character. Robert Kirkman himself has said that, like, Carl is pretty much going to be the last one standing. Carl's going to be the last one alive, and I believe him. I believe in the comics at some point Rick could die and Carl could take the lead. You know, I don't know. I mean, I would like it if Rick just didn't die, but now that Andrea's dead, maybe we should put him out of his misery at some point. I don't know. But you know, Carl, I mean, and that's another thing, Carl is still alive in the comics. In the comics, Carl goes way beyond All Out War, you know, which is, All Out War is what's going on right now in the TV show. And the comics tend to be ahead of the TV show by several seasons, and Carl is still alive. So, you know, if they were following the comics panel to panel, Carl would still be alive in at least season 11. And Carl's never going to die in the comics, let's be honest. Carl is never going to die in the comics because Robert Kirkman has said that he's his favorite character, and like, Rick will die, but Carl's pretty much going to be the last one alive. You know, but here's the thing, that's the comics. He's a drawing on paper. In the show, this is an actor, Chandler Riggs. This is a person that's been playing this character since he was 10 years old. This is his 8th year. And he has said several times that he wants to go back to college, that he has a music career that he's trying to establish. He's trying to be successful with music. You know, he wants to move on and do other things, and it's not unreasonable. What you want to do when you're 10 years old, you really can't be held accountable when you leave something that you start when you're that young, because you're too young to know what you want to do. I mean, he was too young to really be expected to stay in the show for, you know, 10, 20 seasons. I mean, it's really not fair for him to be expected to stay. If he doesn't want to stay, he shouldn't have to stay, and he shouldn't get hate for choosing to leave if that's what's happening, which I believe if Carl does die, it's not the writers, it's the actor wanting to leave, and it's the actor wanting to leave for several years now. I think that might be what's happening if he does die. I'm still not convinced it's necessarily going to happen. You know, I don't want to rule either option out. I don't want to rule out that he dies. I don't want to rule out that he lives. I don't want to say anything 100% because nothing is known 100%. But if he does die, what I do know 100% is that it's not the writer's choice, it's the actor's choice, and I don't blame him. I hope that if this is what's happening, that everyone can be kind and respectful to Chandler Riggs, that everyone can forgive Chandler Riggs for making this decision, because remember, he started the show when he was 10 years old. 8 years later, he wants to do other shit. And I think he's actually criticized the show a few times. He's actually criticized the writing, and I completely understand that. I have a twisted relationship with the show. With the comics, I love. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I do love the comics, but if Dwight dies, that might hurt a lot of the comics, for, like, my connection to the comics. I have so much investment in Dwight. Dwight was my first favorite character. Andrea was my second favorite character. So when Andrea died, I felt like this bullet like missed in my ear. Like he almost went for the big one. But even if Dwight dies, it's not necessarily going to change how I feel about the comics. It'll hurt, but it's not necessarily going to change how I feel about how I love the semi-realism and just how it's a true realistic zombie apocalypse. And I always feel like when a character does die, it's usually time for them to go. We usually spend enough time with each character. The dialogue's better, the story's better, the deaths are better. I never feel like someone died too soon. Well, there's a few, but there's always going to be a few, you know. There's always going to be a few problems. You're always going to have a few criticisms. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite fucking movie, video game, whatever. There's going to be a criticism that you have. But, you know, I really do like the comics. And in the TV show, I kind of have a twisted relationship with it. It's like a girl or something. Like, you can't be with her and you can't get away from her. I can't be with this show and I can't get away from this show. I hate this show. I love this show. I get mad at this show. I forgive this show. All that stuff, back and forth, back and forth. There's episodes that I love. There's episodes that are so boring I can't watch them. There's characters whose story arcs I loved, like Shane's and Herschel's. And I feel like, and they were like maybe Tyrese. Like, I feel like they were complete within themselves, and I understood when they died. And then there's characters like Beth and Abraham, who I am never. My scars are still open and breathing in infections. I am so wounded from their deaths. Like, Beth's death was such a slap in the face to me, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that feels that way. I am one of those crazy Beth fans. I wasn't one of the people that wanted her to come back from the dead. When she got her brains blown out, the damage was done. The damage was done. There was no, there was no going back from that. It was done. And it was bullshit. And then, with Abraham, I was like, you know what? I really am starting to like Abraham. A lot of people are talking about he's going to outlive his comic character. This is going to be awesome. And then he did. And then he died 5 seconds later. And it's like, what the fuck, man? And that was the beginning of season 7, and we're almost halfway into season 8, and I still miss Abraham. I still have a lot of problems with the show. A lot of people, it's not just me, a lot of people have some negative feelings about season 7. A lot of people say that season 7 is their least favorite season. Yes, more than 3. Yes, more than 2. A lot of people, not everyone, maybe not half, maybe not most, but a fair chunk of people consider season 7 to be their least favorite. They consider it to be their least favorite, and there's just a lot of problems. Just the bottle episodes up the ass. The fact that they just, I don't know if it's AMC being a cheap bastard, but they have like 5 characters in each, less than that, like 2 characters in each episode, and you will go like 5 episodes without one character that you really wanted to see, and then by the time you do see them, you forgot about what they were doing, and you just feel so disconnected from everything, because it'll just go like 5 episodes without this character, 5 episodes without that character. This episode's about 3 people that you don't care about. This episode after that episode is about 3 other people that you don't care about, and it's just those 3 people. So there's like, wah, and the dialogue has gotten worse. I know I'm ranting, but I know some people agree with me. It's the criticisms of season 7 got to the point to where so many people feel this way that no one can really ignore them. The Walking Dead used to be a show that you could not criticize. I remember those days. A few years ago, it was the show that you could not talk shit about, along with Breaking Bad. You could not say anything, especially on YouTube. Oh, you couldn't say anything remotely criticizing, constructive, negative, without people jumping on your ass like you're the devil. You could not criticize The Walking Dead. And with season 7, so many people criticized it. Those people that, refuse to hear that shit, that just get mad and fly off the handle when you say anything negative, they couldn't ignore them. They accepted them. That's how bad season 7 was, as far as all the flaws and all the problems that it had in the bottle episodes. Just everything I said. It's not one individual thing. It's everything that I said combined, making it such a weak, just all over the place, messy season. And Abraham died. I was thinking, okay, this is like my favorite character in all of television. He's been dead for 13 months, and I still feel that way. I still feel like he's always going to be my favorite character in all of television. And, I was like, okay, there's no way I'm going to be happy about this. There's no way I'm going to forgive the show for this. But maybe if they make it worth it, if it's like Godfather 2 type shit, that's just like the best writing ever, and it's just like the most epic tragedy ever, maybe they can make it worth it. And then we got, bottle episodes and CGI deer and just all kinds of shit. The writing has gotten kind of worse. Scott Gimple, I feel like he kind of worked when he was in small doses. In the early seasons, he did write some of the better episodes. He wrote Clear, he wrote 18 Miles Out. Clear was the Morgan one in season 3. 18 Miles Out was when Rick and Shane are just chilling and trying to kill each other occasionally. He wrote some of the really good early gems of the show. Within, when he got so much more power, I kind of feel like he let it go to his head, and we got all these weird lines of dialogue that no human being would ever say, and characters like Eric and Deanna Monroe, they get like the shit deleted out of them. Like, they have all this substance, but they just get like a bunch of deleted scenes, and characters die and you don't even care about them, because it's like, unless your name is Rick, Daryl, or Michonne, if you say 5 words, you die. If you say 2 words, you die. If you have a full sentence of dialogue, you die either that episode or the episode after. It's a rule, and it's kind of frustrating, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I know I'm ranting, but, like I said, Chandler Riggs has criticized this show before, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him for wanting to leave. He did this when he was 10 years old. He joined the show when he was 10. Were any of you mature, reliable people that knew exactly what you wanted to do as a career, as a job when you were 10 years old? He can't be blamed for wanting to leave, especially after 8 years. That's a long time for when you go from being 10 years old to 18. That's a big-ass chunk of your life to dedicate to a TV show. And I know a lot of people want to be in his place and they would stay on the show, but you're not in his place. You're not in his head. You're not him. So you can't blame him for wanting to leave. So that's how I feel if that's what actually happens. If Carl dies in a few weeks, don't blame the writers. Don't blame the actor. The actor, I can guarantee you, Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple probably got on their knees and begged Chandler Riggs to stay on the show, and he said no. I've wanted to leave for years. I don't know anything for a fact, but I'm just kind of piecing together what I've heard from interviews over the years, what is probably going to happen if he does die. Because I know if Carl does die in a few weeks, in 2.5 weeks, everyone's going to be like, stupid writers, why did you do that? Do not read the comics. It's out of their hands. It's out of their hands. You can't give a 10-year-old kid a 12-season contract. You just can't. You can't expect them to sign that. And don't blame Chandler Riggs. He was 10 years old when he started the show. He's been on the show for 8 years, and he hasn't even gotten addicted to drugs. At least he doesn't do anything obviously stupid in the public that gets like articles written about him. So he's doing better than most kids in his position would do. That shit's like a curse. If you're a child star, you get addicted to drugs, you don't stay on a show that long. He actually did really good. So please, don't hate on him if his character got killed because he decided to leave. With that said, how do I feel about his death overall? Not too bad. It's like this. Carl has never been one of my favorite characters. I like him a little bit more in the comics. There's some characters that I like them more in the comics. I like them more in the show. Carl is a character that I liked more in the comics. Part of it is his dialogue. A part of it was in the early years, Chandler Riggs was not that. He was just kind of okay. He was kind of plain. He did not even remotely seem like a kid living in the apocalypse. He seemed like a kid pretending to be a kid living in the apocalypse, which obviously what he was. But a really skilled actor could have convinced you that he really was living in the apocalypse. Like Haley Joel Osment, he could have done that's why people like him in The Sixth Sense, because he convinced people that he saw ghosts, in AI. He convinced people that he was a robot. And this is like a child actor convincing people, Chandler Riggs, I don't think he sold it. I don't want to harp too much on him because, like I said, he was young, and he improved. He got better. It took a while. There was just so many instances where he annoyed me, the character, not the actor. Some of his dialogue was just really bratty, and just I understood what they were trying to do, but there was a lot of misfires. In season 4, that episode where it's just about Carl was like painful to watch. I didn't want to spend a whole episode with that kid. He's just not that. The actor just wasn't that good when he's just like screaming at Rick. It wasn't believable. It felt like an actor pretending to do these things. And when you watch TV, you don't want that. You want to feel like it's real. The characters are really the characters. Even when they're children, even when they're like 14 years old, you want to feel like it's characters, not actors pretending to be characters. And I would say like the first 6 seasons, season 6 was when he started to turn, he started to have that turning point, Chandler Riggs. Season 6 was when he started to show some early signs of improvement. He didn't do too much in season 6, actually. I think he was only in like 8 episodes, but he didn't do too much. But when he was on screen, he was showing signs of maturity, signs of improvement, and then season 7, he knocked that shit out of the park. He was fantastic in season 7. He was fantastic. If he was that good the whole show, I would be as angry as the biggest Carl fan in the world if he got killed off. Unfortunately, it just took so long for him to get there, and I don't blame him. But, the first 6 seasons, Carl as a character was kind of annoying. And Chandler Riggs, he didn't quite nail it. And it's, better late than never, but how late? The first 6 seasons, it's kind of hard to move past that. It's kind of hard to let that go. Not for the actor, but for the character. When he spends that long leaving that bad taste in your mouth, it's hard to really care when the taste finally gets really good. It's just like I still don't care about the character, The Walking Dead as a show, it just has so many problems. Like all the things I said earlier. And killing Carl might force the writers, the producers, Robert Kirkman, Scott Gimple, it might force these people to pull their heads out of their asses and improve this show. It's going to force them to be creative and to compromise and to figure something out, because the show must go on. You still got all this comic material. You still got Rick. You still got Michonne. You still got Negan. You still got Daryl. You got Maggie. You can figure something out. You got Judith, who, I mean, thank God they didn't do what they did in the comics, because Rick really would be fucking just, a broken man. If Carl dies, Rick still has Judith, Rick has to live on to take care of his daughter. And Morgan lost his kid. Carol lost her kid. Michonne lost her kid. That's like Rick's defining thing, where like he can't lose Carl. I mean, every parent feels that way. This is war. Rick and Carl and Michonne, they're not special. Maybe they don't get to be the special family that survives and gets that happily ever after peace after the war, when other characters die, when other people lose their families. Maybe they don't get to be the special one. They're asking all of these people to get ready for battle and risk their lives and literally lay down their lives for the greater good. But if someone like Carl dies, they can't be all hypocritical and be like, oh, well, that was too much, I can't do this, Rick has to live on. Rick has to be strong and survive this. Rick and Michonne, that Michonne will be every bit as broken and hurt as Rick will be if Carl dies. Every bit. So this could possibly... It could make for good television. Denai Guerrilla, I can't say her name, and Andrew Lincoln are really terrific actors. And having them lose Carl, that might give them a chance to go to a dark place that they've never gone before, to show off their acting chops in a way that they've never shown before. And it might possibly, if done right, if done 100% completely right, it might make for some really good, if not dark, television, which I think would be interesting to see. It would bring Rick and Michonne closer together. It would bring them to an intimate level that they've never been to before, because they're both going through this loss in this exact same way. Because Michonne loves Carl as much as Rick does. Carl was like Michonne's second chance to have a kid, even before she and Rick even looked at each other in a sexual way. Michonne adored Carl. Carl was her second chance to protect a child, to care for a child, to help a child survive. And she and him became like best friends. And when they got attacked at the end of season 4, and Rick killed those psychopaths and ripped their necks out, Carl spent like all night in a car with his head on Michonne's lap, like sleeping. Like, that's how close they were. This death will hurt them both every bit as equally. And they can't really give up. They can't really be like, oh, well, Carl's dead, I want to blow my brains out, because they're kind of being hypocrites. They're asking literally everyone else to do the same thing. They're already doing the same thing. A lot of characters have already died. A lot of people have already lost their families. You can't just give up when you're the leader because it happened to you. And that's another thing. Rick is the leader. He has to go on. Judith needs him. Judith needs Michonne. They have to go on. They have to find a way to keep going. And I think that would be really interesting if that's what happens. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's the end of the show. And, maybe that gives some other main character some room. Because like I said, it seems like if you're not Rick, Daryl, or Michonne, or Carl, you say more than 5 words, you die. Like Eric, he said like 10 words, maybe, over the course of 4 seasons. He said like 10 words, and he died. You know, like that was his punishment. That's everyone's punishment. You know, if Carl dies, maybe that gives other newer characters some room, because Carl has been one of the ones that have always been in the show, and on some level, there is going to be a missing space that has literally never been in the show before. So, you know, for me, I feel like if Carl dies, it's 100% because the actor chose to leave. I don't blame him. I understand. And I'm actually intrigued with how they handle this in the show, because I've had so many problems with the show, and maybe this is the time for them to pay attention and make some adjustments to these problems. But, you know, like I said, I am not, at this point, I'm 50-50. I don't want to lean in one direction or the other. I feel like no matter what direction I go in, I'm going to be wrong. I don't know what to say as to whether or not he's definitively going to die, or whether he's going to live. I still think there's a big chance he's going to live. I think because the spoiler people haven't been able to confirm it, most of season 8 is a mystery. To even if you can go anywhere, like the highest up spoiler website, and they still don't know much about season 8. All of season 8 has been filmed, all of it. And a lot of people, just like they try to find spoilers, they don't know, you know. So we don't. No one knows for sure if Carl's alive or dead, except for the people that made the show, and the actors and the producers and everyone involved in the project. So it's possible that they're actually trying to trick people, because finding out spoilers has been such a big problem with The Walking Dead. Everyone found out that Glenn and Abraham died before Glenn and Abraham died. You know, so maybe they're trying to trick us into thinking Carl's going to die, and then Carl doesn't die, and then we're like, oh, well, we can't rely on spoilers anymore. You know, maybe that's their master plan. Maybe they want us to think Carl's dead. Maybe they carefully hid the actor. As far as I know, the actor still has his long hair, so he hasn't gotten a haircut. I think it's 50-50. I think if Carl survives episode 8, it wouldn't surprise me in the least. And I wouldn't be emotionally devastated. I'd be like, all right, you know, he's good now. The actor's doing good now. So this should be okay. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, they got us. You know, they tricked us. You know, I'm going to, you know, I'll be like, yeah, you know, there's no surprise there. I guess the actor's going to stay, and I guess, you know, he's going to get his comic material. And then maybe season 12, they'll just end the show so that he can finally do the stuff that he wants to do. A lot of people think season 12 is a good endpoint. I think it is. I think season 12, because that's like 4.5 seasons away. That's a lot. They could do a lot with that. And by the time they get there, it might be time. You know, I think the comic should outlive the show, but the show should have, it's getting to the point where it should be it should be aiming for the last third. I think the last third, it should start to load up and aim for that last third of the show, I think. So if they can just convince the actor to stay that long, then great. Let's give him his comic material. Let's at least do the Whisperer War. Let's at least do A New Beginning. Let's at least do the New World Order. They have time to do all that stuff, so let's at least do that, and then maybe they can have like a happy ending or something. So I'm not going to be shocked if Carl stays. I'm not going to be shocked if he survives. If you're really terrified and scared, I would say it's just hang on, just hold off judgment. Because what if he doesn't die? You're going to feel like you wasted so much time being so terrified over literally nothing that happened, you know? So I'd say hold off judgment until the episode actually happens. And if he does die, don't blame the writers, because the writers had nothing to do with it. And don't blame the actor for wanting to live his life. He was too young to know to really say, I'm going to stay on this show for 12 years. He was just too young, you know? Don't blame him. But anyway, those are my thoughts and opinions. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't be shy. Hit that like and subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. We are at 251 subscribers. Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! So I'm going to be making a celebration video about that. I'm not sure how busy I will be tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving and I work, so I have to work and then I have to go to my grandmother's for Thanksgiving. So I might be a little busy, but Friday I had the day off, so a video should be up by then, if not Saturday. But yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Let me know what you think. If you haven't subscribed, fuck, what the fuck are you waiting on? Hit that fucking button, man! Do it! I'm just kidding. Seriously, do it. Anyway, I'm Spencer Rhodes, and I will see you guys later. Bye!